Hello again. While large-scale post-war European immigration opened up the cultural landscape of Australia, it was the changing times of the 1970s that became the defining period for the Australia of today. It is to these tumultuous times that we turn now in the story of Australia's modern multicultural society. Every morning when I walk up the 200-year-old stone steps from the riverbank to the university, I read the banners fluttering in the breeze with this quote from Prime Minister Gough Whitlam: "To help the great and continuing work of building a more equal, open, tolerant and independent Australia." Gough Whitlam was the 21st Prime Minister of Australia, serving from 1972 to 1975. The denunciation of Australia's history of racial prejudice was at the heart of Whitlam's progressive policy agenda. The last vestiges of the White Australia policy were removed. Legislation was passed to prohibit discrimination on the grounds of race, and the concept of a multicultural Australian society became official government policy. While many aspects of the White Australia policy had been wound down in the preceding years, certain privileges and advantages were still given only to British and European migrants. Whitlam acted to remove this discrimination. Eligibility for citizenship was made more equitable with the Australian Citizenship Act 1973, so that all immigrants, regardless of their nationality, were eligible to become citizens with the right to vote after 3 years' residence in Australia. Whitlam also extended the assisted passage migration scheme to include immigrants of any ethnicity. To support his quest for a more equal society, Whitlam also introduced the Racial Discrimination Act in 1975. The legislation made it unlawful to unfairly discriminate against someone on the basis of their ethnicity or national origin in relation to work, wages, housing, shopping, banking, education, healthcare, and so on. Section 18C of the Act makes it unlawful to offend, insult, humiliate or intimidate a person on the basis of race. At his speech proclaiming the Act, Whitlam said that, "By this Act we shall be doing our best to redress past injustice and build a more just and tolerant future." Whitlam, along with his immigration minister, the colourful Al Grasby, introduced the official policy of multiculturalism in 1973. Under this policy, the government advocated that cultural differences within society should be accepted and celebrated. To support this new policy, the government introduced new translation services for migrants, multicultural radio services, and incorporated multiculturalism into health, welfare, and education policy. The main principle of multiculturalism stressed the benefits of cultural diversity and the importance of social harmony and tolerance. These policies were to have a profound influence on policy from then on. Under Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser, thousands of refugees from Vietnam and Cambodia were settled here in the late 1970s and 1980s. Prime Minister Bob Hawke also allowed 10,000 Chinese students permanent residency after the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989. Hawke also established the Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission in 1986. Hawke and his successor, Paul Keating, expanded multicultural programs throughout the 80s and 90s, changed the immigration program so it stopped focusing on race and instead focused on skilled migration. They also made strong efforts to place multiculturalism within a nationalist narrative where cultural diversity and tolerance were part of Australian national identity. This has brought us up to the shared experience of the multicultural society Australia is said to be today. We'll talk more about what that actually entails in the next video. I'm Diane Colman. Thanks for watching.